What's going on, everybody? This is your boy XQ420. Welcome everybody back to another episode, Showtime with the Cube. I've got my co-host. I keep wanting to mess that up. Corey Hughes. Corey Hughes, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very well. If it's y'all's first time to this channel, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate everybody's their support so far, and everybody's left a comment and things of that nature. So, Corey, tonight we're jumping into episode 6 of the Rings of Power, and this particular episode was what I was kind of expecting from this series from the get-go. A little bit of slow build-up, but this particular episode had a lot of battle, but it also had a moving along of the storyline as well.
Yes.
So, what was your initial thoughts and initial input on this particular episode and how it flowed?
Yeah, overall, the episode went well, I would say. It's getting like the typical horrible reviews for the same reasons, but I'm looking past all of the stuff that we've already discussed on previous episodes, and I'm trying to absorb this story from the perspective of just entertain me. And there's of course there's a lot of problems with the storyline, but this episode we went from having a bunch of episodes move really slowly to a whole bunch of things happening in one episode. If parts of it felt a little rushed, I don't know. It's really strange how it can felt dragged out and rushed at the same time, but that's kind of how it felt. Overall, I thought the episode was okay. It kind of took us, it solidified the storyline. It solidified the direction things are going in. And, you know, one thing that I have to say in defense of Lord of the Rings and all these other shows, like Star Wars in particular, these are ambitious projects for television, basically. And that's one thing that people kind of seem to overlook in the criticism. These are massive projects, and even if they don't pull them off well or perfectly or even close to good, it was still just an incredible endeavor to try to do this in the first place. I think when I first heard that they were going to have a live-action Star Wars TV show, I was like, yeah, right, that's going to suck. But as we're seeing in Endor, and we've seen in some of the other shows, parts of The Mandalorian, they do a good job of bringing the scale of the universe, and particularly in Star Wars, to the show. And it feels kind of like a Star Wars, right? So Lord of the Rings doesn't quite feel like a Lord of the Rings, but this episode kind of felt like a Lord of the Rings.
This episode rang Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? Right out of the gate, we have the opening battle, which we figured a battle was going to have to come eventually. Okay, Adar leading the orc troops to the output that the humans and Arondir Browning had occupied, and I thought it was a pretty good plan. You know, to buy themselves time, lure the orcs in, and then destroy the actual castle. How'd you feel about that particular plan? I thought it was pretty good. Looks like it was well thought out, and it worked by them some time. So, what'd you think about that particular?
Well, I didn't really analyze it from like a strategic point of view, but I thought all of the scenes from the time that we see the orcs walking up with all the torches and the white hoods. Okay, I don't know what kind of symbolism was going on there.
Maybe there's something with K's in it.
Maybe. It was some of that symbolism going on, because remember, orcs are not white. I went back and I'm watching the movies again. The orcs are not white. So the fact we have white orcs at all, strange, but I'll deal with it. So they come walking up like the clan in their hoods. And I thought from there through the end of the episode was pretty well pulled off, pretty nonstop, action-packed. The one thing I don't get is, like, when you watch the battle scenes in the movies for Lord of the Rings, they felt grand. They were huge. You were, like, wowed when you saw them in the theaters. I'm not impressed with any of the sets that I'm seeing in this show. and they spent $1 billion fucking on this piece of junk. You know, what is going on with that? I have not seen any really good cinematography.
Well, it's going to be from what I'm understanding, Corey. It's going to be $1 billion over the series. So, from what I read, it's going to be $1 billion over the entire span of the Rings of Power lifespan, which I believe is going to be 5 years, 5 seasons, if I'm correct. But I can agree with you there. I can agree with you there definitely. The actual fight scenes do seem a little lackluster. They don't have a whole lot of choreography per se. Anything that will wow you per se. Galadriel, I guess, had a couple. I guess the most flashiest thing that happened is Galadriel coming through on the horse and she leaning to the side and dodging spears and things like that. But it's nothing like God. Orlando Bloom played the elf in the original trilogy. Yeah. Now, but when he's out there fighting, you're like, dude, it's a spectacle, okay? I mean, this dude is arrowing folks down. He's sliding down the tusk of an elephant, stab one dude in the head from behind him, 3 arrows. I mean, he's just like all over the place. Like, man, this dude been training, dog. I mean, he been in the lab working on his craft. if we want to get a little street talk in here, he been working on the craft. He going deep in his bag to get his kill game right. And you know, as much as we have particularly liked Arondir, he can't be quickly overpowered. That one orc overpowered him. He's been close to death multiple times. Arondir, he hanging by a thread.
Are you talking about the orc who was gushing the black blood out his eye for like 5 minutes?
Yeah. That
was like some Roger Corman, like a Toxic Avenger kind of shit right there.
Yeah,
they could have done better for their $1 billion. I'm watching it going, ooh. I'm like, is it ever going to stop?
Yes. Now, in this particular episode, what I feel like it did do was mesh some of the storylines together. So we're not so disjointed with it having to jump from Numenor back to the Southlands, back to the Harfoots. The Harfoots wasn't in this at all.
Maybe they're getting the hint that nobody likes the goddamn Harfoots.
I mean, there's potential. I think the next episode is going to feature them a little bit more. But, of course, as I said, the combination of the storylines. But if we're moving right past where Arondir actually destroys the tower, okay, and then they get back into the town. So they realized that destroying the tower, that was just buying them time. All right, there was going to be a second wave, and so they had a secondary plan, which leads to that particular fight. They trap the orcs in, and they fight them. But there's a twist on this that I didn't catch right out the gate because all of them have like the robes over their heads and things of that nature. The majority of the people that the townspeople were fighting was not orcs, but was their own people who had started to follow Adara. And we got to remind the crowd that Adara is still leading this particular orc army. And I thought that was pretty genius by Adara to send those initial people in to give the townspeople a sense of hope that they did something. When you think about that.
Oh yeah, that was perfect psychological warfare pulled off by Adar. So yeah, good work.
Yeah, and we can really tell that he's got a very keen sense of battle and the strategic nature of it. Because he's been very strategic about everything that he's done up to this time. I'd be very interested in seeing how long he was part of Morgoth's army.
Right.
How long he was part of that, or how long he followed Sauron, whichever one he was mainly a part of. So I'd be very interested in seeing how long he was part of that. It hadn't really gave you any indication. You know, he's at least been a particular captain in Morgoth or Sauron's army for at least as long as Halbrand's been around. So that's because we see a moment with them on that. What do you think about Adar and how they built his character so far?
I think it's going pretty well with him. when they had him and what's his name, Halbrand, together. If Halbrand is allegedly going to be Sauron, I thought that should have been a more key moment than they portrayed it.
Right.
But who knows how many hints they wanted to give. They're not really giving a lot of hints that Halbrand is going to be Sauron. And if he is going to be Sauron, now he is like the king of the people of the Southland, right? So I don't know how the lore goes, but if he's the king of the Southern Land and that's where Mordor is going to be, it would kind of seem like he's the one who turned it into Mordor or will in the future. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like they're kind of building up this platform for Sauron to emerge from through Halbrand, and I think that should be interesting.
Right. Now, once the townspeople...
But one last thing, I've never heard that Sauron was ever a king of men.
Right.
Ever. So I don't know anything about that, if they're rewriting the lore or what.
Well, some of this stuff is loosely taken. They do take some liberties within the actual story, and we see that in everything. It's not only this particular thing when they're taking stuff from books, even Marvel when they're taking from comic books, because there's so many comic books they take bits and pieces from different places. So there's one other point that I didn't make before we went to the fight. When they initially took the tower down or the castle down and bide themselves time, Arondir told Browning that he was going to hide the hilt. Okay, now he told Browning, "I'm going to hide the hilt. Nobody can know, not even you." Now, when Adar tricks them and they end up killing their own townspeople, which had defected, and then he comes in with the real orc army, the boy knows exactly where the hilt is. I said, Arondir, I thought you were going to take this thing out of the town. Man hid it right in the same town, underneath.
He might as well have put it like under his mattress.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he did. I mean, that's pretty much what he did when they started killing people in there after they had captured him, and then they were going to kill Browning next, which she had already been shot by an arrow, and they had stopped the bleeding on that. But when they were about to kill her, and the son's like, "No, stop! I'll give you what you came for." I'm like, how's this dude know where it's at? I mean, this is going to be when he said that, I'm like, okay, so this is going to be a journey where he has to take them out somewhere. No, man, he pulled up one rock in the shed they in. There it is, bro. I'm like, Arondir, I thought you were hiding this, dog. I mean, that got me right there. What do you think about that particular scene?
You're totally dead on. Like, that whole scene was ridiculous. Of all places to hide it, you're just going to put it under the goddamn floorboards. Come on. Have you ever seen a fucking movie before? Like, they always find it when you put it under the floorboards.
Always. That's the first place you look. You're like, let me look under the floorboards. I mean, it's like Arondir, dog. I need you to do a little bit better on your hiding skills, okay? Your hiding skills, they falling mighty short from your other tactical skills. So I thought that was pretty funny when that happened. And of course, right on time, right on key, because everybody in there was about to die. The army of Numenor rages in and begins battle. That was pretty much the main battle. There wasn't really much to say throughout that particular battle in the city. Like you said, it wasn't anything that was captivating. Did you have any captivating moments as far as in that battle?
No, but I enjoyed watching it. I mean, it wasn't it was good. It wasn't trash. Yeah,
it was good enough there. I think one of the things that you always try to look for when you have a battle, you want to see the massive scale of it, of course, but then you want to kind of zoom into individual main fights. So, with Adar actually fleeing, it's kind of hard to have an orc have any type of individual main fight as like a major villain. The only one in the Hobbit, the orc was the main villain. one of the leader orcs. But pretty much in the original trilogy and now, the orcs are kind of just, they're just there. They're almost like they're almost like the Foot in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. They're a bunch of useful idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, hey, but I got my homies with me, the Foot. It's like, ain't none of them kicking the Ninja Turtles' ass, but I mean, not one of them got enough skill in their body to do any damage. We do know that. So we have, of course, that ends the way we think that should end. We've got actual skilled warriors who were in the mix now, so they easily take care of the orcs. In that particular situation, Adara starts to flee, and this is where we have a little bit of development, a little bit of eyebrows raised on what exactly is going on between Adara and Halbrand. We have the chase as Galadriel is chasing him out of the city, and Halbrand ends up tripping his horse, and then Halbrand moves in to kill him. And it seems that Adara and Halbrand have a major history, but Adara does not know who Halbrand is, and I've got that leaves some questions there. Corey, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it leaves some major holes in the writing that they're going to have to plug, and I'm not going to like the direction that they're going to go. I can tell you already that I think with the writing, as far as this particular aspect, they've bit off more than they could chew, trying to make the synchronicities, ever present, and. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like, if Adar should have known what's his name is who, or else there was really no point to the scene. There wasn't any, stare. There wasn't any louder music. There was nothing to indicate that was an important moment, Yeah,
and Halbrand, I mean, he was dead set on killing him on the spot. Like they had some type of long-standing history, like they've had many melee battles in the past, and or that Adar took something dear to him, maybe a family member or something like that. But like I said, or maybe it's just that Adar's killed so many people. It's just like, who are you again? I mean,
right, exactly.
I mean, I've been living for 5,000 years, man. I've done killed all kind of folks, man. You got to refresh my memory. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you ain't nobody special, dog. I don't remember you. Help me out. And you know this because he asked Halbrand later. He's like, man, who are you? You know what I'm saying? He's just like, dog, I'm having a case of Alzheimer's, dog. I can't remember who you are. I mean, what's the deal? You got all this contempt for me. And, of course, Galadriel stops him from slaying Adar on the spot because, we need to question him for Galadriel to try to kill him in the shed later on. I'm just like, well, I mean, don't deny the man a kill and then you go in for the kill yourself, okay? I mean, that's all I'm saying. You deny the man a kill. Now, as we had, I believe you said in the first episode we reviewed, Adar actually references, and Galadriel actually references to the elves becoming, quote unquote, the dark elves and becoming the first orcs. So I believe I think we're right in line with that orcs are former elves. Is that right? I mean,
elves who were driven underground, I believe.
Yeah, and Adar calls them Oruks. He didn't call them
right, and that's he called them Uruks, which is like out of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. You have the regular orcs, but then Saruman creates the Urukai, right? Who are the bigger, badder, stronger orcs, who are like the fighting orcs, right? So I hate when prequels do this and they try to bite off something that was seemingly unique to the future, right?
Right.
Like the fighting Urukai is what Saruman called them. And so, but these are the Uruk. Well, what does that mean? Like, there's no clarification there. They didn't even try to give like an explanation. All he said was that they were called orcs, and he said they prefer Uruks. So maybe Uruk is orc in Orcish, and Urukai was just a different designation of orc in Orcish. That's what I'm gathering.
Yeah, but of course, Adara's still at the end of the day, Adara's different because he didn't have the sensitivity to light or anything like that. So
he's awful pale.
I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely pale. There's no doubt about it. Okay, because most of them are pale. Is there any black elves? Rondare, I guess. I guess he's blackish. But other than that,
he's the only one.
Was there any black elves in the original trilogy?
No,
I don't think so. Okay, so
no.
they had to have we need a diversity hire. Okay, we don't need the elves to seem racist. Okay,
he's doing okay. I'm actually his character is okay. I mean, the plots that this guy has been forced to act out are ridiculous, but I think he's doing a good job. I think he's a good actor, and I don't mind the scenes that he's in. He's a little over dramatic, a little melodramatic at times, but he's an elf. You know, what can you expect?
Well, we do know one thing about a Rondare. He is willing to allow people to die for the cause, okay? Because Brandon was about to get her head chopped off. He wasn't going to stop it. He's like, they can't get the hilt, but if we all die in here. So they can't get the hilt. Except they got the hilt anyway. So Galadriel and Adara have a brief conversation. It's obvious that Adar has not been with the elven tribe for a long time because Galadriel does not know who he is either. And it'd be kind of interesting to see if the High King or any Celebrimor or any of those guys know who Adar is. And I'm wondering if that will come up in any type of future episodes. What do you think?
I think it has to. There's just too many questions around him. He might be like the coolest character in the story so far. Definitely the most mysterious. And I think that they owe it to the people watching this piece of shit to fucking explain what his backstory is. It'll probably come out a couple seasons down the road.
Yeah, probably so. Because I'm figuring from what I'm seeing here, Adar is going to be a major player for seasons to come. What it kind of looks like to me. Do you think that's going to be the case?
Definitely. He's the strongest character in the whole show. Like the actor they have playing him is kick ass. He's doing a great job. The rest of the cast has a lot to learn from him for sure.
Yeah. He's menacing in a very silent way. Let's just say that. Like he hasn't done anything like stand out in your face, but it's just like this dude has some skill, he has some cunning about him, he has tactical
his mannerisms
knowledge.
Tell you not to fuck with him.
Yeah, like he's a dangerous dude. So I do like that how they've portrayed this particular character. And now after that exchange in that particular barn, okay, I guess it's where the hell the shed. It didn't even look like they had him shackled. Did they have him shackled? It looked like he was just laying up against the post. I'm just like, but y'all ain't got the man tied up. I guess they had his hands tied.
It was
together.
an honor system.
Like, yeah, okay, I got you. Hey, Scout's honor that you won't run. Scout's honor, right? I mean, you just let's say Scout's honor, but I mean, I'm all the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm diligent. So they move from that. They have a great feast, all right, to celebrate their victory. Everybody drinking. What are they drinking? Mash? Is that what they drink? Is it mash?
I don't know. What is mash?
It's supposed to be some type of alcoholic beverage. I was trying to go to an olden term.
See, they're also snooty. I would think they would just drink wine.
Yeah, okay. So, like some rosé or something like that. It's probably drink a little rosé, a little bubbly for the folks. So I think that's every movie I've seen. I think after your battle, after your victory, you get drunk, and then probably have some sex. I think that's
right.
I think that's like a normal thing. They didn't get,
eat a big old leg of whatever animal is on the skewer.
There you go. Now they didn't quite make it to the sex part, all right, because some things happened before that. We've seen little snippets of Isildur, which, as you stated, he's going to become a major player in the future. I'm assuming in the future of this show. That's what I'm assuming, unless they go a different route and kind of move away from Tolkien's writings. We see a little bit of him and his reconnection with his friends. They're going to be leading the charge to go and find where the orcs are hiding out at. Okay, they're leading the charge. Galadriel needs men, so I guess they're setting him up for his future role. But they're not really moving very fast with him. What do you think, Corey?
No, they could move a little quicker for sure. That's one of the themes of the show thus far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just slow pacing around him, as we know that he's going to be a major player later on. So I'm assuming that something's going to have to happen to probably one of his friends or his father as far as their death for him to really take up that mantle and proceed forward in any type of significant manner. Because right now we're just getting bits and pieces of it.
Right.
Yep. So we have that. We've got the Queen Regent. They celebrate Lord Halbrand. Yes, Lord Halbrand. And everybody just immediately was like, oh, yes, the king we've been waiting for. And I'm just like, look, man, look, I'm done. And maybe it's just me, but I'm like, can y'all get a little build up? Everybody just quick to accept something. Oh, here's your king. Oh, yes, the king.
And also, was the evidence conclusive, or are they just going off of the hunch of what's her face?
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
there's got to be some kind of paper trail, right? Why don't they go back into that room with the scrolls and read through some more shit and make sure? But before making this dude the king, who's probably a scoundrel.
I'm just like, bud, I mean, y'all just come right out and just like, oh, yeah, this is the king we've been waiting for. I'm like, are you sure? I mean, don't nobody know him. You know what I'm saying? Galadriel, she just made an assumption. Oh, you must be the king of the Southlands. And he's just like, yeah, maybe. I don't want to talk about it. It's old news. So it's just like, all right, people just jumping on board. It's kind of like when Browning stepped in front of him and started giving everybody orders. I'm just like, Browning, girl, you were tending some sheep and carrying some buckets of water to the next day, leader of men. I mean, I'm just like, tactical leader. I'm just like, it's just a little too much for me. They might need to build some of these folks up a little bit. But from there, after they slap cups together, we have the scene of scenes to start things off. And come to find out, when Arondir is talking to Browning's son and he opens up the cloak, at some point in time, Adar had slipped it to that old crazy dude who pledged allegiance to him and ended up killing one of his people. And the dude knew exactly what
I got lost there. Yeah. That's strange. And I didn't see the handoff. I don't know what the fuck happened there. But all of a sudden, this guy just knew exactly what to do with the broken sword, which...
Exactly.
If it was a whole sword, obviously it was a key, right? And the key opened up the thing, which turned the thing, which opened the other thing, and all the water started going. And next thing you know, boom, we've got the rebirth of Mount Doom, right? So that will be the Mount Doom that's at the center of Mordor. There's only so much the elves can do, right? The future's already written. We know what's going to happen. And so knowing, basically, that up until the very end, when they cut off Sauron's finger with the ring on it, between now and then, the elves pretty much get their asses handed to them, since that entire land gets converted into the land of Mordor. There's not much they can do about it.
Yeah. So this would be that confirmation that this land gets overtaken, which I don't know. It kind of... How do you feel about it, knowing kind of what's going to happen?
Well, that's the fundamental problem with all prequels, isn't it? You know, the ultimate outcome, and therefore, like, your plot points and your ultimate surprises should not have to do with the with stuff that you already know. It should be plot twists leading up to that can stand alone in a story outside of the original story, right?
Right.
So, like I've said this before, the only prequels I've ever seen pulled off that were stunning were the Dune books, the Dune prequel books, which were written by Frank Herbert's son, who continue. They're stunning. They're fucking amazing. It's how prequels should be done, because you don't even care about the stories you already know when you're reading through the prequel. It felt so different, and it took you in such a different direction, and you got to see how the sausage was made and so many different things. And it was just, the way it was done was stunning, and I've never seen any movies ever be able to pull it off, because they're focused too much about signaling to the later storyline and giving you little drop hints to the storyline later, right? Like, I'm over that shit.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree with you more. I thought one of my favorite prequels was actually in Spartacus, that particular series, because they had to take a break. They had to do something because the actual main actor died of cancer after the first season. So they did a prequel season. And I thought that actually worked out great, because the main character you hadn't seen in the actual first season. So it just seems like, okay, it told the storyline. It's the same house, the house of Batiatus, but the main character is a different gladiator. So you're like, okay, I've seen a whole nother person's story of how they triumphed in the arena and how they got out. And little do you know that Gannicus is going to show up in later seasons. You're like, oh shit. So, it's stuff like that where you have to, I think sometimes, especially if you're going off of something that's already written, you almost can't help but to kind of divert from the source material. What do you think? At least somewhat, if you're making movie form.
Yes, you have to. Otherwise, you just have a rehash and boring shit from the first, right? So, like, I think a perfect example is like, and it wasn't a prequel, but the newest Matrix movie was such a fucking piece of garbage, because all it did was try to get points from the audience for referencing the original movies, right? So if you're making a prequel and people already know the whole outcome, you need to keep them very occupied with other things that makes them forget it's a prequel. And so it's a tough task to pull off. And so far, I give them like a D- on how they're approaching it as a prequel.
Right. Of course. I don't know how much time elapses in between your the initial volcano eruption and the destruction of those particular lands. But we do know that the gentleman knew exactly how to use the sword, knew exactly where to put the sword, and knew exactly how to turn the sword. And there's this dam, for some reason, that will just let all the water flow into the volcano. And there was somebody on Twitter that I read that was like, yeah, the volcano shouldn't have erupted like that, because you got to have the steam build up in a way that it can't escape, and that's what causes an eruption such as that. That's a minor thing.
Minor thing,
cinema, so, you're doing cinema, so in cinema, if a car gets hit in the rear and flips over, it automatically explodes. So,
of course.
Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, the cars don't explode like that. But minor thing in cinema. So we see that, and it starts erupting in multiple areas. So obviously, this particular volcano has multiple openings to bust out of, and it just happens to be right in the town and right around the people. And we have this episode end with Galadriel just standing there, just watching the shit come towards her. I was just like, you going to try to move or want to get under something? I'm just going to chill and watch it. I was just like,
so we know she's not dead because she's not dead because she's in the trilogy. So, but she just got like hammered by some volcanic lava and ash and stuff. So I got to see them explain this one.
It's the good elf lungs. You know what I'm saying? They work different. It's the elf lungs, man. They just don't work well against a blade. Okay, blade in betwixt the ribs, they done. Hot ash and magma you breathing in. Not worried about that. Okay, we can duck and dodge that. And so that wraps up this episode of The Rings of Power. This one was named Udun. That's Udun. And I'll probably say this episode, Corey, 6 out of 10 cubes. 6 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah, like, if you're like at a dead body and you're trying to get the pulse back, this last episode, you got a little jump on the meter. That was it. It was a little blip. Okay.
There you go. We can work with the blip. It definitely gave people who were looking for some type of battle scenes. It definitely gave them plenty of that throughout this episode because that's what most of the episode was. Now, I do think that they did do a good job with Adar and even Halbrand's scene where it shows that animosity towards Adara. I thought that was, for me, the best scene of this particular episode. What do you think your best scene was?
The scene that stands out the most is the volcano scene because it was the most shocking. Like, I don't think we expected that. And so I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then I was like, whoa, they're all dead. Whoa, lava's going to melt everybody.
That's exactly what you're thinking. You're like, dude, this volcano's erupting. Hold on a second. Is this going to kill everybody? I said, it can't. I said, because we know Galadriel is still alive. So, in the later on in the history of Middle Earth. So you're just like, okay, how are they going to work their way out of this? So yeah, the episode, I think it probably saved the first 4 or 5 episodes as far as giving you some action. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Cause I'll give you that much, but I think overall the opinions of the critics widespread is that this is garbage. I don't think this episode is going to affect their opinions whatsoever. So
right.
Who knows?
IMDb,
I don't think it's enough to save it from the people who've been bagging on
it. Yeah. Probably not. Probably not, because there wasn't anything over the top that happened in this particular episode as far as any type of battle. There was strategic parts of it, but there wasn't anything over the top as far as any type of one-on-one battle. IMDb rating is 8.5 out of 10, Corey. So
that's a lot high.
IMDb,
they're really high over there. They smoking some crack over there.
Hey, IMDb, but I mean, my goodness. Hey, the featured review too. Obviously, I try not to use the 10 out of 10 too often in order to keep it for more special occasions, but this is definitely one of them. I mean, I'm sorry, but this won a special occasion. This won a 10 out of 10 in cinema. Unfortunately, and I think me and you both would love for this series to bring us some 10 out of 10 moments.
Yeah,
I mean, is that what you think? Yeah, I really would like it.
I think it's handicapped, and the best I'm going to get is a 9. So we'll see. You're
right. So hopefully we have some things that happen in the upcoming future, some twists and turns. I almost don't the stranger in the with the Harfoots. I almost don't want him to be Gandalf. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be something else.
Well, I want him to do something at all. Like, they're doing nothing with this fucking character. Like, nothing. He's got like 2 words of screen time. Like, they need to move that along if they're going to do anything with it, or at least get him connected to the goddamn elves already.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see some of that in the trailer for episode 7. We do see. I guess those are elves. I don't even know. I don't know if they're elves or not that we're looking for the stranger. I'm not sure. They look sort of like it, and then sometimes I was like, well, maybe they're not. So maybe we're going to find out a little bit more. I think this upcoming episode will have quite a bit of the Harfoots in it. Do you think we're going to probably see a dominated episode of the Harfoots in this next one?
Unfortunately, yes. Because, whenever these fucking shows start to make some good decisions and put out a decent episode, they have to ruin it the following week. So we're bound to get some of them.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, I believe there's either Wiki only has 2 episodes left, but
right,
IMDb
that's all I saw was 2 episodes left.
Yeah. So is that right? Yeah. So two episodes left this season. So predictions on what else they could do in this particular first season. I don't see much more left they can really give us.
No, I mean, I think they're going to have to give us another battle scene just because. Whether it makes sense or not doesn't matter. We need to see some more orc heads getting chopped off. I think that's a given. What else we're going to see in the next couple episodes, I couldn't tell you. Hopefully some more Halbrand story development, some Gondorf story development, anything but nothing. Okay, so just give us something good.
I think we're going to see a lot of the Harfoots, and we're going to see a lot of Elrond and Durin. That's what I think to end things off this first season.
Perhaps
that's what I believe, because I think they're going to be trying to do the mining for that mithril. So I think
right, because the one thing we never mentioned was that I guess the mithril is super important to the elves because it can now save them from the blight that is going to wipe them out. So
Yep.
That's an interesting story twist to it. So I'd like to see where that goes too.
Yep. So wraps up episode 6. So we got 2 of these left, Corey. So it'll be very interesting to see where they take it from here. Hopefully, some things get better. Of course, it's going to end the season on a cliffhanger. Ain't got much of a choice. All right. so we know that's going to happen. So we appreciate everybody for checking us out, listening to this episode of Showtime with the Cube from your host, XQ420, my co-host Corey Hughes. We will catch y'all on the next Showtime. Peace out.